Donald Trump is unsurprisingly decompensating over his attorney's meeting with Justice Department officials over the investigation into his mishandling of classified documents. With his social media rant asking, "How can the DOJ charge me?" on his Truth Social echo chamber. His meltdowns are so predictable at this point, they'd be hilarious if we hadn't seen what his supporters are capable of. In an interview last September, Trump offered this warning about what might happen if he was indicted over classified documents.
I think if it happened, I think you'd have problems in this country, the likes of which perhaps we've never seen before. I don't think the people of the United States would stand for it.
What kind of problems, Mr. President?
I think they'd have big problems. Big problems.
In that interview, Trump also claimed that being indicted would not stop him from running for president again in 2024, and followed this warning from Senator Lindsey Graham.
If there's a prosecution of Donald Trump for mishandling classified information after the Clinton debacle, which you presided over and did a hell of a good job, there'll be riots in the streets.
What, no tears? Trump was so fond of Lindsey's suggestion, he injected it on social media right into the veins of his biggest fans, which, as we all saw, is a recipe for disaster. One we all saw play out on January 6th after he summoned a mob of his political violence supporting followers to lay siege to the U.S. Capitol with his "Be there, will be wild" tweet. In shades of January 6th, Trump similarly tried to rile up his supporters ahead of his indictment in Manhattan in the hush money payment scheme, calling for protests to take our nation back and warning of death and destruction if he were to be charged. Now, there was no violence following his indictment on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in New York. But with candidate Trump now out on the trail, it could only be a matter of time before he uses it as a bullhorn to spew that kind of call for violence. Joining me now is Frank Figliuzzi, former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence and MSNBC National Security Analyst. So great to talk with you, Frank. The thing is, on the one hand, there has been a lesson learned by Trump supporters who are prone to violence in all of these indictments for seditious conspiracy of Oath Keepers and Proud Boys. And also regular schmucks who are now spending time in jail and their lives have been destroyed. On the other hand, we've seen the power of his rhetoric. How concerned should we be that if Trump is indicted, particularly by the feds, that we might see MAGA violence?
Yeah, this is a good news, bad news situation. As you said, there's no question we're seeing that the 1,000 arrests so far with regard to January 6th and leadership of Oath Keepers and Proud Boys convicted of seditious conspiracy. We're seeing that that's had a chilling effect. And we see that in chat rooms. We see violent extremists saying, "Hey, I don't want to get arrested. This could be a setup. I'm not going." So that's good news. The not so good news is that Trump has already started to show us where he's going with this. He's already done several posts on his own social media, right? Where he's saying, "Hey, I'm a victim. They're not charging Biden. They're not going to charge Pence. They're charging only me, and yada yada yada. I'm a victim." The concern for law enforcement right now, Joy, is the lone offender. They're already all over Proud Boys, Oath Keepers to the extent they can, right? Because domestic terrorism law doesn't exist in the United States. But it's the lone offender that they can't control, they can't get out in front of, that concerns them with regard to inciting rhetoric by Trump, by Marjorie Taylor Greene, you name the far right extremists. That's the concern.